Hello and welcome in today's lecture. So we will continue our today's discussion. It's about the we will be talking about the different theories and also the different kinds of transition studies that were going on in different centuries, especially transition theory before the 20th century. That was our focus, and today we will also focus on more on it. And as you can see on the screen, uh, that is the it's a very difficult name to pronounce, but his first name is Frederick. So I will call him the Frederick and the valorization of the foreign. So how actually Frederick? He was a uh, German translator, and also he was a theologian. Theologian means তিনি খ্রিস্টান ধর্মতত্ত্ব নিয়ে কাজ করতেন এবং সেই সাথে তিনি অনুবাদক ছিলেন। তার নাম হচ্ছে ফ্রেডরিক। The later part actually is very difficult to pronounce. Since I don't know German, I don't know how to pronounce it. But if you want me to try it, then I can try it in my own way. It may sound a little bit weird. That is Schleiermacher or Schleiermacher. I don't know how they pronounce it. It's very difficult to pronounce German. But his first name is Frederick. So for our purpose, today's discussion, we'll just keep on that first name. So we'll tell him Frederick. So what actually he said about the translation. So we will try to understand it from our today's discussion, and I can guarantee that you will find it very interesting that how actually he regarded or he recalled or considered translation in his own point from his own point of view. Now here, in the very first paragraph, it says that while the 17th century had been about imitation and the 18th century about the translator's duty to recreate the spirit of the source text for the reader of the time, the German romantics of the early 19th century, including monumental figures such as Goethe, or we say Goethe or Goethe, and Humboldt, Novalis, and Schlegel, discuss the issues of translatability and untranslatability and the mythical nature of translation. So whether it is translatable, that means translatability, or untranslatable, that means untranslatability. So translatable, that is that you can translate, and the opposite is that which you cannot translate. So these people, they actually focused, this Goethe, Humboldt, Novalis, and Schlegel, they focus on this, that whether a text is translatable or whether it is not translatable or untranslatability. So they are focusing on this. And also the mythical nature of translation. That means there are lots of myths about translation. So they also try to focus on all these issues about translation. And it says that it's very romantic. Romantics in that sense that it's very new. I mean, when actually new in that sense at that time, the approach actually they used, or the approach they had to translation, that was very romantic. It was very individualistic. That was innovative. That's why we are saying that that is very romantic kind of approach to the translation. Now, in 1813, the theologian and translator Frederick wrote a highly influential treatise on translation, and it is in German language, but I don't know how to read German, so I'll be reading the English one. And it says on the different methods of translating. So the name of his writing, or name of his text, it was on the different methods of translating. So in this text, Frederick, he discussed different ways of translation, different methods of translation. So Frederick is recognized as the founder of modern Protestant theology and of modern hermeneutics, a romantic approach to interpretation based not on absolute truth, but on the individual's inner feeling and understanding. So I just mentioned a few minutes back that why actually we are calling his approach to translation romantic. Why actually we are calling it romantic? Because that is very much individualistic approach to the to the translation. As you know, that for the romanticism, when you study romanticism, especially in the English history of English literature, and also when you're studying romantic literature, there you found that romantic, we call those writers romantic, especially those are very individualistic. That means the importance of the individualism, importance on the nature, importance on the classical Greek text or classical Greek philosophy, or to some extent you can say they were, very much prone to anything that was Hellenistic. So because of this, we call them romantic. So the most important part, especially in the romantic literature, you have seen that that is the importance given on the individual, the way you look at the world. That is your personal, your individual perspective or worldview. That is more important than anything else. So that's why this approach to the translation. We are also calling it romantic because the individual's inner feeling and understanding it was emphasized, not the absolute truth. Okay, so Frederick, in his seminal text on the different methods of translating, he focused on this, and also he was the founder of modern Protestant theology. That is the one of the denominations of the Christianity, that is Protestant, and another one is Catholicism or Catholic. So you see that in the Protestant theology, he was one of the chief proponents of this Protestant theology. So he was a theologian, and at the same time, he was a translator because he was translating texts from Greek or from Hebrew to his language, German language. So that's why, yeah, he had to translate those from one language to another language. That means the biblical text, he translated biblical text from Hebrew or from other languages, especially the Greek language, to German language. So you see, he was a theologian, at the same time as a theologian, he felt that it was his duty to translate the Bible or other religious texts from Greek or Hebrew language to German language. So that's why we are calling him the founder of modern Protestant theology and also of modern hermeneutics. So can you tell me what does it mean, hermeneutics? Have you ever heard of this word, hermeneutics? Dear students, Ritu, can you tell me what does it mean, hermeneutics? Ritu?
No, sir, I don't know about that.
Okay, have you ever heard of this word before?
No, sir. Does it mean harmony? Harmony,
No,
melodious type?
you're trying to guess the meaning. That's a very good way to guess the meaning. I appreciate that, but actually that's not the meaning. It's not from harmony. Is there anyone who can say what is hermeneutics? Anyone who has any idea about hermeneutics?
No, sir.
All right, hermeneutics actually, you can see it's a field of knowledge that deals with the interpretation of the biblical text or any kind of text, like text from philosophy, text from, you can also say wisdom literature. So these are the texts. That means the interpretation of text. Hermeneutics means the study of interpretation. Say it. Ritu, what did I say?
The
Ritu?
study of interpretation.
That means the methods of interpreting different kinds of texts. Especially it started with the religion, Christianity. That means the interpretation of biblical texts. So that was the main goal or main purpose of hermeneutics as a field of study. But later on, this hermeneutics now also it is used for the general purposes. That means also any kind of literary text or any philosophical text, even if you go for the interpretation and the way of interpreting all those texts. So these methods, techniques, theories, practices, all these things are discussed in this hermeneutics. Just to put it simply for your better understanding, we can say hermeneutics means the way we can interpret a text. So it relates to the interpretation. So now, he was also the founder of these modern hermeneutics. That means he also dealt with this subject and how to interpret the biblical text. He also worked on it. Do you follow me what I'm saying, dear students?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So you see, he was very much knowledgeable. So he knows how to translate, and at the same time, he knows how to interpret. Because if you're not a good interpreter, if you don't know how to explain a text, that means it needs lots of knowledge if you really want to analyze a text. For example, if I ask you to analyze any text by Shakespeare, then certainly you need some knowledge, some expertise to analyze Shakespearean text, right? You need to know a lot about Shakespeare, his work, his time, his life,
Yes, sir.
and also what is drama and how to analyze drama and the mechanics and techniques of drama, how to write drama. So all these things actually have to know. Then you can interpret a text, Shakespearean text. Similarly, if you know, if you know the technique of interpreting, or if you can develop or innovate the techniques of interpreting biblical text, then in that case, you will be a good translator because you know what does it mean, the intended meaning of the text, or you can see the allegorical meaning of the text, or the irony, or the sarcastic, elements that is found in the text. So all these things you can understand. That means you are very much conversant with the stylistic features of a text, then you can interpret it. And obviously, if you really try to translate that text into another language, the target language, then you can be a very good translator. So he had all these qualities, Friedrich. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, it is not here, but I would like to give you one interesting information about Friedrich works. The name of the work I have already mentioned, on the different methods of translating. Now, if you just take a look at this text, and if you're interested in reading this text, you can find it online. Now, I will just give you the basic of this whole text. The basic thing is that he is suggesting that the translation, it will work, the methods, it will work in two different ways. First, the translator will take the author to the reader, or the translator will take the readers to the author. Got the point what I'm saying? The duty of a translator, or the method that he is going to use while translating. Either he will take the author to the reader, or he will take the reader to the author as translator. Is it okay? Understandable?
Sir, please say again.
Good. Try to understand it. Forget about the translator. If we take the text, a translated text, just take a translated text. The translated text, so there will be the original author, right? The translated text,
Right,
there will be the
sir.
original author, and there will be readers, right? So author and readers. So between the original author and the readers of that translation work, who is in between? দুয়ের মাঝামাঝি কে? একদিকে আছে exactly. So একদিকে আছে আমার অরিজিনাল টেক্সটের author, for example ইংলিশে একটা লেখা আছে, আমরা শেক্সপিয়ারের ট্রাজেডি হ্যামলেটই ধরলাম, যেহেতু তোমরা পড়ছো, ধরে নেই যে হ্যামলেটের টেক্সট অরিজিনাল অথর হচ্ছে শেক্সপিয়ার, ইট ওয়াজ রিটেন ইন ইংলিশ। আর এই পাশে আছে আমার বাংলাদেশি বা বাংলা স্পিকার যারা আছেন, বাংলা ভাষাভাষীর জন্য আমার অনুবাদের টেক্সট করা আছে। তাহলে এই অনুবাদ যে টেক্সট করাটা, এটার অরিজিনাল অথর কে? শেক্সপিয়ার। আর আমার রিডাররা হচ্ছে আমার বাংলা স্পিকার, তারা হচ্ছে রিডার। আর এই দুয়ের মাঝখানে কে মেলবন্ধন তৈরি করেছেন? হু ইজ দ্য মেডিয়েটর? Who is the coordinator?
Translate করবে।
Okay, that's great. So translator, actually he is the mediator, or you can say he is the liaison officer. আমরা বলি না যে যিনি মধ্যস্থতাকারী অফিসার, দুয়ের মধ্যে যিনি মধ্যস্থতা করিয়ে দেন, একটা অফিসের সাথে আরেকটা অফিসের সাথে মধ্যস্থতাকারী যিনি থাকেন, আমরা তাকে liaison officer. So in that sense, the translator is the liaison officer. He is the mediator. তিনি এই দুয়ের মাঝে মধ্যস্থতাকারী, or you can say he is the connector. The translator is the connector. তিনি কানেক্ট করেন এই দুইকে। অরিজিনাল অথরকে তার অনুবাদের কাজের মাধ্যমে তিনি করেন, অরিজিনাল অথরকে কার কাছে নিয়ে যান?
রিডার্সদের।
এক্স্যাক্টলি। অথবা তিনি উল্টোটাও করতে পারেন, তিনি এই বাংলাদেশি রিডারকে তিনি কার কাছে নিয়ে যেতে পারেন?
অথরের কাছে।
অথরের।
That's the thing I am talking about, and this is suggested by Friedrich. He's saying that either the translator, he will take the author to the reader, or he will take the readers to the author. So you can see the translation, this work is completely interpersonal communication. Understood? It's a kind of interpersonal comprehension, understanding. Interpersonal means the author and the readers, or the readers and the author. So that's what we're calling it, interpersonal comprehension or interpersonal understanding, communication. So this is what actually Friedrich emphasized in his text on the different methods of translating. Interesting, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, now we'll move on to the next slide. So do you have any questions so far after this?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Right. Just give me a second. All right, in the next slide, here you can see. Now he goes on. Distinct from other translation theory, we have discussed so far in this chapter, that means here, what we are discussing whole this chapter, this valorization of the foreign in this chapter is saying that Friedrich first, I told you that his name is it's very difficult. It starts with S. So instead of that, I will say Friedrich. তোমরা বুঝতে পারছো কি বলছি?
Yes, sir.
এটা আমার পক্ষে উচ্চারণ করা সম্ভব না, আমি জার্মান জানি না, যেটা জানি না সেটা বলে তো লাভ নেই। তো এটা আমি উচ্চারণ করতে পারবো না, কিন্তু তার প্রথম অংশটুকু it sounds like English, and তার উচ্চারণ ফ্রেঞ্চ জার্মানিতে ওরা ফেল, কিন্তু এটুকু আমি জানি না এটা কিভাবে বলছে। So সো আমি এই জায়গাটা যখনই আসবে আমি তার নামে কি ব্যবহার করবো এটা না বলে
Yes.
আমি তার নামে
Frederick. Frederick S.
Okay, I'm Frederick. Okay. So, in this chapter, Frederick first distinguishes two different types of translator working on two different types of text. Now, here you see, again, I'm not going to pronounce that. It's very difficult. You see, the two different kinds of translation work actually mentioned. One who translates commercial texts, and there is another group of translator who works on the scholarly and artistic text. So we have two different kinds of translators, right? One group of translators, one translator, he will translate commercial text. And another group of translators, they will translate scholarly and artistic text. Got it? Two different kinds of translators.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Commercial text means that is used for business, for example, advertisement or a booklet. Different business organization, they have booklets, right? Pamphlet. For example, if you really want to buy a product, so there is a literature, the whole 2 or 3 pages written in English, and I want to sell that product in Bangladesh. Then I need to translate it in Bangla because most of the reader, they will not be able to read the pamphlet or we can say the booklet in English. And also you can see the manual. There is a manual. It's like 2 or 3 pages, or maybe a manual book with refrigerator, with microwave oven, right? How to use it. So if that manual is written in English, do you really think that most of the people will be able to understand it, how to use it?
No,
The
sir.
manual. If it is not needed, please just mute it because there are sounds are coming from. All right. So in that case, that is the commercial text for business purpose. There are different kinds of booklet, pamphlets. So some translators, they only translate those and they get money paid by the company. And there are other scholarly and artistic texts. For example, I can translate a book from English to Bengali. For example, Begum Rokeya Sakhawat's Sultana's Dream. You read it, right? In 2 or 3 semesters back. Sultana's Dream.
Yes, sir.
But you know that
Yes,
Sultana's Dream actually it is also in Bangla, right?
Yes, sir.
Right, sir.
It is also
Yes,
also there in Bangla. So we have the Bangla and we have the English. So you see, it was completely, this translation, it was done completely from the scholarly perspective. That was for the academic purpose. It's not for business actually. It was done out of love or passion for the literature. Got it? What I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
There are also commercial texts of the literary text. For example, if there is a best-selling, any novel in the market, so what I will do, I will try to translate it as soon as possible so that I can translate it, I can give it to the publishing house, and then they will sell the translated works in Bangla. And then they can earn huge amount of money because that is a very famous one and people are looking for the Bangla translation because not all of them are able to read it in English. এরকম হয় না, কোনো একটা লেখা বিখ্যাত হয়ে গেছে তখন সবাই ওটা একটু বাংলায় পড়তে চায় কারণ ইংরেজিতে বইটাকে পড়তে পারছে না, কিন্তু পত্রিকা অনেক লেখালেখি হচ্ছে, ইংরেজিতে সমালোচনা বেরোচ্ছে, তখন কি করছে পাবলিশিং হাউস গুলো কোনো একটা ট্রান্সলেট করে বললো ভাই আপনি আমাকে 1 মাসের মধ্যে বইটা তাড়াতাড়ি ট্রান্সলেট করে দেন, যদি আমরা আগে পাবলিশ করে ফেলতে পারি তাহলে আমরাই বেশি লাভ করে ফেলি। এরকম হয় না? বুঝতে পারছো আমার ব্যাপারটা? এটা কিন্তু হচ্ছে।
Yes, sir.
So এটা কমার্শিয়াল পারপাসে টেক্সটটা হতে পারে, লিটারারি টেক্সটও আমরা কমার্শিয়াল পারপাসে করতে পারি, কিন্তু বেসিক্যালি এই কমার্শিয়াল টেক্সট যে ট্রান্সলেট করে তার কোয়ালিটি, আর যিনি স্কলারলি বা আর্টিস্টিক টেক্সট যিনি করবেন, অর্থাৎ কোনো একটা আর্টিকেল করলেন, কোনো একটা একাডেমিক পেপার তিনি বাংলায় অনুবাদ করলেন ইংরেজি থেকে, কিংবা কোনো একটা ভালো ফিলসফির বই, সেটা তোমার ফ্রেঞ্চ ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ আছে, যিনি ফ্রেঞ্চ জানেন তিনি ফ্রেঞ্চ থেকে সেটা বাংলাতে করলেন, কিংবা কোনো লিটারারি থিওরির বই যেটা জার্মান ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজে আছে তিনি সেই জার্মান থেকে সেটা তিনি বাংলায় করলেন। বুঝতে পারছো কি বলছি? যেটার মধ্যে ব্যবসায়িক উদ্দেশ্য কম থেকে মূল থাকে যে আমি একাডেমিক হিসেবে একজন শিক্ষক হিসেবে কিংবা একজন ছাত্র হিসেবে আমি অন্যের কাছে এই জার্মান ভাষায় রচিত এই ভালো বইটি এর নলেজটা আমি অন্যের কাছে পৌঁছে দিতে চাই, তারপর তিনি সেটা বাংলায় করলেন করে মানুষের কাছে পৌঁছে দিলেন। এটা হচ্ছে স্কলারলি আর আর্টিস্টিক টেক্সট। Now is it clear to you that two different kinds of text? Are the translators two different kinds of translators? One will translate the commercial text, another will translate literary scholarly or artistic text. Done?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ritu, do you understand what I'm saying? Can you follow me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, now we'll move on to the next slide. Now, again, here it says that in this second time, the Frederick sees as being on a higher creative plane, bringing new life into the language. So you see, Now, if I ask you this question, out of these two different kinds of translators, one kind of translators, they are translating commercial text, and another kind of translators, they are translating literary, scholarly, and artistic text. Who is more important to you? Or who will you, evaluate more than the other? তুমি কাকে বেশি মূল্যায়ন করবে?
Sir, artistic.
Fantastic.
The
That's
scholar.
scholarly. Exactly. Right.
One.
Yes, yes. All right. Now, same, Mr. Frederick, he's also giving importance on the same one. I mean, the second one, the literary, artistic, or scholarly one. He's saying that because that is higher creative plane, because you need to be very much creative if you really want to do this scholarly kind of translation. I mean, if you try to scholarly text, if you really want to translate it, because you need to take care of the content, you need to take care of the stylistic features, you need to take care of the grammar, you need to take care of the diction, vocabulary, and also the meaning, semantics, all these things together. So that's why that is more challenging, and that is highly creative. It's a very kind of creative kind of work. And that's saying that breathing new life into the language. And that will breathe a new life into the language. That means as if you're creating something new in your own language, but you are maintaining the fidelity. You're very much honest. You're very much faithful to the original text at the same time. So that's why it's very difficult to do that. Although it may seem impossible to translate the scholarly and artistic text, since the source text meaning is couched in language that is very culture bound and to which the target language can never fully correspond, the real question, according to Frederick, is how to bring the source text writer and the target text reader together. He moves beyond the issues of the word for word and sense for sense, literal, faithful, and free translation, and considers there to be only two paths open for the true translator. This is very interesting. Lots of things are coming together, but I will make it as simple, as clear, as crystal, just like water. I mean, of course, drinkable, clean water that I'm talking about. Now, dear students, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now,
Yes, sir.
fine, just tell me when actually we're going to end this class. I mean, what's the time? The finishing time of today's lecture?
So, 11:30.
11:30,
Sir,
right?
11:20
11:20,
BCA,
sir. Sir.
Okay, no problem, no problem. We have only 10 minutes more, and after that, automatically, actually, we are going to be disconnected because this is the basic form that we are using for our today's discussion. As I've already mentioned that we had some problem with the video and Zoom link. So we're using the basic. So we have only less than 8 minutes. So within this 8 minutes, I will try to finish it, and then that will be over for our today's discussion. Now, here you see what actually I was saying. He's saying that it's very difficult to translate the scholarly and artistic text. Why? Because in the source language, in the source text, you see the meaning of the text. It is couched in language that is very culture bound. That means, for example, if I try to translate a text from German language to my language, tell me what will happen. My Bangla culture and tradition, is it same just like German culture and tradition?
No,
No, sir.
sir.
No, sir.
Even the whole linguistic phenomenon,
No,
the
sir.
linguistic phenomenon, the sentence structure, their stylistic feature, everything is different. Because German and Bangla, our Bangla, is completely two different languages from two different, linguistic, you can say, linguistic language groups. So our because of the language group, that is two different language groups, and at the same time, our culture is different, our language is different, our tradition is different, our food is different, our lifestyle is different. That's why it's very much culture bound, and sometimes it's very difficult to translate a scholarly and artistic text. And in some cases, it's impossible because he's saying that the target language, that means in my Bangla, if I try to translate from German to Bangla, the target language is Bangla, that can never fully correspond. এটা কখনোই সম্পূর্ণরূপে ওকে প্রতিস্থাপিত করতে পারবে না, ওটার সাথে correspond করা সম্ভব না. In some cases, it's difficult, it's impossible. So that's why the real question, according to Frederick, is asking that. Then the real question is how to bring the source text writer, that means the author, and the target text reader, that means the Bangla reader. That means from German writer to Bangla reader, that I've already mentioned. You remember that just in a few minutes back, I told you that. What was this purpose? To bring the reader, the original author, to bring him close to the target text reader, that is Bangla, and or to take the reader to the original author. হয় তিনি কি করবেন? লেখককে তিনি তার অনুবাদের কারিশমার মাধ্যমে, টেকনিকের মাধ্যমে তিনি ওই টার্গেট টেক্সটের যে রিডার তার কাছে নিয়ে যাবেন, অথবা ওই অনুবাদে যে রিডাররা পড়ছে সেই রিডারদেরকে সেই পাঠকদেরকে তিনি নিয়ে যাবেন সেই অরিজিনাল জার্মান অথরের কাছে। দুটার যে কোনো একটা করতে হবে। বুঝতে পেরেছো কি বলেছি? Dear students,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
can you follow me?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Okay, don't get yourself intrigued by this, this complicated sentence structure. এটা খুব সিম্পল একটা জিনিস, আমি অলরেডি বলে দিয়েছি যে তোমার জন্য এখন খুব সহজ হবে বোঝাটা। So he was trying on this. So he moves beyond the issue. So now that he is saying that word for word translation, it will not work. Sense for sense, maybe it will not work. Literal, maybe it will not work. Faithful translation, maybe it will not work. Free translation, maybe it will also not work. Then what is the way to accomplish this translation work? This work task is mammoth. It's like, what should I say? It's a very difficult task to complete it. So then he is suggesting this. Two paths. Either the translation leaves the writer in peace as much as possible and moves the reader towards him, or he leaves the reader in peace as much as possible and moves the writer towards him. I've already mentioned it, I told you. Either you have to take the writer to the reader, or you take the reader to the writer. When you take the writer to the reader, then you leave the reader in peace. তুমি তখন রিডার দেখে ঝামেলা করছো না, তুমি রাইটার কি বলতে চাচ্ছ সেটা তুমি নিয়ে যাও কার কাছে? রিডারের কাছে। আর যদি মনে করো যে না রিডার কি বুঝবে, আমি রিডারের মতো করে অনুবাদটা করি আমার ভাষায়, আমি তখন অরিজিনাল যে রাইটার তাকে ঝামেলায় ফেলছি না, ডিস্টার্ব করছি না, আমি তাকে তার জায়গায় রাখছি। হয় তুমি রাইটারকে শান্তিতে রাখো, নাহলে তুমি রিডারকে শান্তিতে রাখো। দুটো যে একটা চয়েস ইজ ইয়োর্স। Got it? Got it?
Yes, sir.
Here in peace means you have to maintain the harmony. You have to maintain the harmony. So you have to translate it in such a way that the reader will understand and the writer will not be disturbed. His main intention will not be disturbed. Or you will translate the writer intention and then you put it into the target language, and then that will be the task of the reader to understand him, not the writer. Or you can do the otherwise, or the opposite, the vice versa. You can translate it in such a way that the reader will understand, and then they will understand it in their own language and they will try to understand the writer's intention. In that case, I'm not translating the writer's intention directly or his intended meaning. I'm making it simple for the reader, and then thus the reader will be able to have or build a kind of rapport or communication with the writer. Understood? In any way, in either way, you have to establish a communication, a rapport, an understanding, a kind of comprehension. The communication between the writer and the reader, and you have to just establish it, and that is the way, or that is the path open. Two paths open for the translator. So translator will decide actually which actually he is going to do. He will take the writer to the reader, or he'll take the reader to the writer. That's his choice. Now, in the next slide, it says Fred preferred strategy is the first, moving the reader towards the writer. Now he's saying that brother actually he prefers, that is his preference, it's not ours. He's saying that I will take the reader to the writer. This entails not writing as the author would have done had he written in German, but rather giving the reader through the translation the impression he would have received as a German reading the work in the original language. So it's not that he will translate in such a way that if the translator, if he was a Bangladeshi, the way he would have written, it's not like that. ব্যাপারটা এরকম যে আমি লেখাটা এমন ভাবে লিখবো না, ট্রান্সলেশনটা এমন ভাবে করবো না, উনি যদি জার্মান হয়ে বাঙালি হতেন তাহলে উনি কিভাবে লিখতেন, তাহলে সেইভাবে আমি বাংলা অনুবাদ করলাম, তাহলে কিন্তু অ্যাডাপ্টেশন হয়ে যাবে। রিস্ক কোনটা, ইমিটেশন, মনে আছে?
Yes, sir.
জি স্যার, ইমিটেশনে
ওই পরিমাণ যদি লিবার্টি নিই তাহলে সর্বনাশ হয়ে যাবে। আমার ট্রান্সলেশন থাকবে, ওটা আমার নিজের মতো করে লেখা, আমি অন্যের গল্প থেকে ধার করে আমি আমার ভাষায় আমার রিডারের জন্য লিখে ফেলাম, তাহলে অনুবাদ হবে না কিন্তু। That will be the adaptation. Understood? Imitation. So that's he's saying that
Yes,
it's
sir.
not like that. If he were Bangladeshi, then how actually he could write in that way? Actually, I'm translating. So that is the risk. I will not do that. Rather, what I will do, I will go for that the author this would have done had written in German, but rather the reader through the translation. বল কি হবে? পাঠকরা অনুবাদের মাধ্যমে একটা ইমপ্রেশন পাবে যে জার্মানি জানলে আমি কেমন হতো। বুঝতে পারছো? যে রিডার যদি জার্মান জানতেন তাহলে লেখককে তিনি কিভাবে খুঁজে পেতেন এই লেখার মধ্যে, বা কিভাবে টেক্সটটাকে বুঝতেন, সেইভাবে অনুবাদটা করতে হবে, অরিজিনাল ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের টেক্সটের কাছে নিয়ে যেতে হবে আমার, অর্থাৎ আমি বাংলাটাকে নিয়ে যাব জার্মানের কাছাকাছি। আমি বুঝতে পারছি?
Yes, sir.
তাহলে আমার রিডার অরিজিনাল যে অথর তিনি তার টেক্সটটা পাবেন, তিনি কি বলতে চেয়েছেন, কি লিখেছেন সে বুঝতে পারবে। Now, to achieve this, the translator must adopt an alienating as opposed to the naturalizing method of translation, or orienting himself or herself by the language and content of the source text. He or she must valorize the foreign and transfer that into the target language. Look at this. This is pretty interesting. He's saying that it's not that you have to adopt an alienating as opposed to naturalizing. That means instead of making German or transforming German into Bengali, rather I will transform Bangla into the German. Have you got it? What I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Sir, can you repeat, please?
Sir.
Alienating এর বাংলা অর্থ কি? Alienate করা মানে কি? যেগুলোকে বিচ্ছিন্ন করে না, দূরে সরিয়ে না, সেপারেট করা। বুঝতে পারছো কি বলছি?
জি স্যার।
জি স্যার।
আর ন্যাচারালাইজ
Yes,
মানে কি? ন্যাচারালাইজ মানে সেটাকে নিজের করে নেওয়া, নিজের মতো করে ফেলা, ডোমেস্টিকেট করে ফেলা, ঘরের মতো বানিয়ে ফেলা, ন্যাচারালাইজ করা, স্বাভাবিকীকরণ আর কি, যেটাকে আমরা বলি। অর্থাৎ আমি এমন করবো না যে জার্মানকে বাংলা বানায় ফেলবো, না এটা করা যাবে না, বরং বাংলাকে তুমি জার্মানি বানায় ফেলো, বাংলাকে বানিয়ে ফেলো জার্মান ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের কাছাকাছি। অ্যালিয়েনেট করো, বাংলাকে বাংলার থেকে অ্যালিয়েনেট করে নিয়ে বাংলাকে করে ফেলো জার্মান ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের কাছাকাছি ফরম্যাট। আমি কি বোঝাতে পেরেছি এই অংশটুকু?
জি স্যার।
Yes, sir.
তুমি ওই অনুবাদের সুবিধার্থে
জি,
আমার
স্যার।
নাটক যাতে বুঝবে এইটা মনে করে তুমি যদি জার্মান স্ট্রাকচার, ট্র্যাডিশন, কালচার এই সম্পূর্ণটাকে ভেঙে নিয়ে বাংলার মতো করে ফেলো, তাহলে ওটা ট্রান্সলেশন থাকে। উল্টো কি বলছে যে তুমি বাংলাটাকে জার্মানের মতো করে অ্যাপ্রোচ করো। জার্মান ভাষা কি বলেছে একটু বাংলায় ব্যাখ্যা করো, জার্মান ভাষায় যেটা আছে সেটা তুমি বাংলায় হুবহু ওরকম করে করার চেষ্টা করো, কাছাকাছি আনো। তাহলে হবে কি বাংলাটা আর বাংলা থাকছে না, ওটা অনেকটা জার্মানের ভাষার মতো হয়ে যাবে। দেখতে বাংলা হবে, কিন্তু আমি স্ট্রাকচারটা বা ওই স্বাদটা, ওই যে টেস্টটা অনুবাদের কিংবা ওই টেক্সটের যে একটা টেস্ট, যে অরিজিনাল স্বাদ, সেটা আমি বাংলায় জার্মান স্বাদটা নেবার চেষ্টা করি। দ্যাট ইজ দ্য প্রসেস অফ alienating. Understood? Understood?
জি স্যার।
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's it, saying the orienting himself, the translation himself, the translator himself, or the himself or herself. ধরো আমাদের কোনো মেয়ে যদি অনুবাদক হয় তাহলে herself আর কি। তো তোমরা এটা কনফিউজ হচ্ছে himself, herself, বারবার এগুলো কেন আছে? এখানে অনুবাদের কথা বলছে। So orienting the translator himself or herself by the language and content of the source text. That means I have to have a very good knowledge about the German, about their culture, tradition, content, language, everything. If I know, then in that case, I can make my Bangla language, I can transform it very close to the German language. So I can replace all the German things with Bangla, but I will keep the German taste. So in that way, my reader, they will feel the original German taste of the text and of the author. They will understand the author, but they're reading it in Bangla. Clear? Is that clear, dear students?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
জি
That's
স্যার।
why he's saying that he or she must valorize the foreign and transfer that into target language. Valorize means you have to put it in the important place. Valorize করা মানে কি? valor মানে কি সাহস। valorization মানে ওইটাকে তোমাকে তুলে ধরতে হবে, বড় করে দেখাতে হবে। You have to magnify the foreign and then transfer that foreign elements of that language into your language. That means transfer that into the target language, all those foreign elements, and keep the foreign elements as it is. Don't change them into your language. আমি যদি ফরেন এলিমেন্টকে ডোমেস্টিকেট করার চেষ্টা করি, নিজের ভাষায় ন্যাচারালাইজ করে বুঝিয়ে দিই, তাহলে ওটা জার্মান থাকবে? আমার সত্যি করে বলো তো, তোমরা নিজেদের আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ডিং থেকে
নো স্যার।
Sir.
ওই জার্মান সবকিছুকে বাংলাদেশীদের মতো বোঝানোর জন্য বাংলা
বাংলা হয়ে যাবে।
তাহলে আর থাকলো ওটা কিছু?
Adaptive.
তাহলে কি তুমি অরিজিনাল টেক্সটের স্বাদটা পেলে? যতদিন পর্যন্ত না নিজে জার্মান ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ শিখে জার্মানিতেই পড়বা, তার আগ পর্যন্ত যতদিন তুমি জার্মান গ্যাটের কোনো একটা নাটক পড়লা, তার একটা উপন্যাস তুমি পড়লা, কিংবা জার্মান কোনো বিখ্যাত কবি সাহিত্যিকের কবির কোনো একটা কবিতা পড়লা বাংলা অনুবাদ, যতদিন না নিজে বাংলা জার্মান শিখছো ততদিন পর্যন্ত তুমি আর শিখতে পারলে না। কারণ কি করেছে? অনুবাদ কি করেছেন? বাংলাদেশীদের জন্য বাংলা করে ফেলেছেন, বাংলার উপযোগী বলে দিয়েছেন, জার্মানটা তিনি রাখেন। তাতে কি হলো? আমি অরিজিনাল টেক্সটের স্বাদটা পেলাম। That's why he said that he or she must valorize the foreign and transfer that into target language. You have to transfer that into target language so that the reader can understand. I think that we don't have enough time, because before we stop this lecture abruptly, I would like to conclude the discussion after this, and inshallah in our next class we'll be talking about more about this valorization of the foreign. You have got a basic idea about this, and we'll elaborate on this inshallah in our next class. And thank you for your cooperation. And I'm extremely sorry for the inconveniences, because since we couldn't use the original videoing for technical glitch, actually we couldn't use the videoing version of the Zoom session. So that's why we have to use the very basic form, and we have to conclude our today's session. Okay?
Okay, sir.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks for your cooperation. Hope to see you
Okay,
next time.
sir.
inshallah, in the next class. Take care.